Sign up to Council's disaster and weather event warning system. Receive alerts about emergency news, severe weather events and other public safety alerts via SMS or email. Registering to the disaster messaging system is free. To register, visit Gladstone Regional Council's Region Watch website and click on the Register for Warnings button. Get ready, Gladstone. Take the steps to protect what's most important to you. Let's be better prepared and protected for emergencies and disasters.
First item on the agenda, councillors, is apologies, and we have received an apology from Councillor Braithwaite. Can I have a mover that that apology be accepted, please? Thank you, Councillor Goodluck. Second, Councillor O'Grady. All in favour? Motion is carried. The next item on the agenda is messages of condolence. Do we have any messages of condolence? No, councillors. Obviously, for those watching online, we have sadly lost a couple of local identities in the last few days, but the appropriate time to do that will be after the funeral service. So we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is prior notifications of conflicts of interest. Over to you, Tanya.
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Muscat and Councillor Braithwaite both have prior declared conflicts of interest, and Councillor O'Grady has raised a conflict of interest today.
Okay, over to you, Councillor Muscat.
Yes, I've just previously declared conflict of interest in relation to room. Oh, sorry, should I start again? Yeah, previously I declared conflict of interest in relation to my directorship of Strong Communities Limited and GAPDL, so I will leave the room for their deputation. And yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Muscat. Councillor O'Grady.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I, Councillor Desley O'Grady, inform the meeting that I have a declarable conflict of interest on agenda item G3.1, Gladstone Area and Promotion and Development Limited Deputation, as my brothers are members of GAPDL and I have recently become actively involved in the promotion and marketing of their business. Although I have declarable conflict of interest, I do not believe a reasonable person could have the perception of bias because any decision of council in relation to GAPDL will not have significant impact on myself nor my brother's companies. Therefore, I would like to remain in the room and participate in the discussion. However, I will respect the decision of the meeting on whether I can remain and participate in the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor O'Grady. Questions to Councillor O'Grady or remover, please? Councillor Churchill? Was that a question?
Just a point of clarification, thanks, and this is probably just from a governance perspective. Just bear with me, I think, just trying to make reference to 150 of the Local Government Act. Good. Maybe perhaps a question to you, Councillor Grady, is, are you in any way, shape or form involved with your brother's business that would create a financial return or benefit being the related party in this circumstance as a councillor?
I don't get remunerated for what I do, but I've started helping out with them in a time of need, really.
In time of need, yeah, but you don't receive any benefit and or financial return?
No.
Okay, and you're not a partner in the business
Not
or
at all, no.
in any way, shape or form? No.
Thank you, Councillor Churchill. Question, Tanya. I think it would be different if Councillor O'Grady was owner of the business, perhaps, but at what point do surely there's councillors in the room that have children or brothers and sisters that are a member of the Chamber of Commerce or a member of the Engineering Alliance. At what point do you stretch the bow? Over to you, Tanya.
Mayor, that's really a question for the councillors sitting at the table today. The legislation does point to either councillor or a related party, which includes a sibling of the councillor. That I believe is the basis for Councillor O'Grady's declaration today.
Okay, thanks. So that does, in that case, my daughter is a member of the Chamber of Commerce. So does that mean if ever we're discussing the Chamber of Commerce, then I would have a conflict of interest if we approve this today? Like, what?
Potentially.
That means you can't have a relative have a business intent. We're really limiting the number of people who can stand for council.
Well, I believe that's
Anyway,
why the legislation provides the opportunity for council as a group to decide that a conflicted councillor can remain in the room. It's to give that flexibility to council.
Mr. Mayor, if I might, I think given that the GAPDL deputation today is a presentation, there's no real decision here for council today about that. It's receiving the deputation from GAPDL. In the interest of maintaining the integrity of the decision in this room, I'm happy to move that Councillor O'Grady can remain in the room but not participate in the decision. And I think that is a good balance from my view. So I'm happy to move that.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Goodluck. Is there a seconder for that? Thank you, Councillor Cameron. Is there any further questions, comments? Councillor Hanson.
I'm just relating your situation, Councillor, with my own. If my siblings who own a business and I have no part of the business, I do nothing in the... I may go and help them like you do. I don't get remunerated. But if that business was brought up in subject anywhere here, I would leave the room. That's my personal opinion.
Just an additional comment, and I suppose this is just another litmus test for the legislation, because and not that I'm opposed to Councillor Goodluck's motion, because it was only recently that we were then advised that the legislation has now changed, that we can move a motion that they actually, whoever it may be, can stay in the room but not participate in the decision. And appropriately, there's no decision being made today other than receiving the deputation. But again, this is another one that needs to be clearly clarified under the legislation, because if we're going to end up in this circumstance, we'll all be restrained. And it'd be good, well, it won't be good if we've all got to leave the room for someone to make a decision other than the CEO would have to make the decision. My other question, I suppose, at this particular stage is that if... And I'll say it again, I'm not opposed to Councillor Goodluck's resolution. That's probably a good 50-50 balance in the circumstance in trying to understand this legislation. But can Councillor O'Grady participate in the discussions and ask questions and and influence because, well, influence us in any of the decision making, not necessarily this deputation, because Councillor Trevor has raised this previously. And again, each and every one of us around this table have a responsibility to also protect our colleagues from potential criminal and or civil litigation. That's a statement, probably not a question, because the reality of it is that's the level of frustration that you can get with this changing feast in the legislation in understanding what is a conflict and what's not a conflict. Otherwise, we'll all be captured by it.
Mr Mayor, I think from my perspective, the legislation is clear around close associates in conflicts of interest. It's clear that Councillor O'Grady's conflict that she's raised here today is a declarable conflict, which there is the means in the legislation for Council to make a decision to allow her to participate in the discussion and or the decision. So there's, and I take Councillor Hanson's point that were he in that position, you would make that decision. That's your right to do so, Councillor Hanson, but the legislation provides for this council to provide Councillor O'Grady the opportunity to participate in the discussion. It is a declarable conflict, and given today, that's why I've moved the motion, because I think that's reasonable. It maintains the integrity of the decision that we might make here today, and it's gives Councillor O'Grady the opportunity to participate. And I think that's reasonable, given that this is a fairly low-level conflict of interest in my personal opinion.
I agree with you, Councillor Goodluck, but just a point in relation to the legislation, it actually says not associated person, it says the nature of the relationship of the other person to the councillor or related party. So therefore they are considered to be a close relative within the family, and in this circumstance, the family, be it brothers. Just a point of interest.
Thanks, Councillor Goodluck. Councillor Churchill, I'll put the motion in a second. I just find it a bit unreasonable that when you consider what benefit a councillor's brother might receive from any endorsement of GAPDL of their probably 400 plus members, it's a bit of a stretch. But yeah, look, understand we're trying to be cautious. We don't want anyone to be in trouble with the CCC for not doing the right thing. I understand that completely. Thank you, Councillor O'Grady, for raising it. It just seems it seems to me like the long bow and probably the thin edge of the wedge of where councillors, I mean, I can look around the room and I can see other councillors in the room that will have conflicts very similar with children, brothers and sisters probably, who are members of other associations, and so they should be, because you're involved in your community. I think it would be different if we were dealing with an issue that was directly related to one of your brother's businesses. Absolutely, you should leave the room. But this is twice removed. It's dealing with a presentation which is for information from GAPDL, our regional tourism organisation, which may do some help for what is a business in Water 7070. Anyway, I think we've had enough discussion on it. Councillor Churchill.
Yeah, no, I'd just like to get I'd like to ask a question, or more so a point of clarification, because I'm prepared to support the motion that's before us, but does this now set the precedence in relation to every other future decision that relates to any aspects of GAPDL for Councillor O'Grady? Because when a decision is made today in relation to the conflict of interest, and we've seen other test cases already, my question appropriately would be, for any agenda item forthcoming into the future, unless there's another change in legislation by the Queensland Government, thus the decision we make today to remain in the room but not be part of the decision, that will stand, and it's created the precedence.
Councillor Churchill, if I may, it only applies to this circumstance before us today in relation to the deputation. If a different matter come before us in relation to GAPDL, Councillor O'Grady would have to consider her position in relation to a conflict of interest with regard to that matter. So this is for the deputation today.
Thanks, Tanya.
Thank you.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Churchill, follow-up question? No? All right. Tanya, I'm going to put the motion moved by Councillor Goodluck, seconded by Councillor Cameron. Anticipating that one way or the other, I'd like eventually for us to show this live stream to the Department of Local Government and ask them for advice on whether they believe it's a conflict going forward. No further comments, councillors, questions? Put the motion. All in favour? Those against? Oh, sorry, those against? No? Okay, the motion's carried. Thank you. Councillor O'Grady will be able to remain in the room and participate but not vote on the matter. Is there any other messages of conflicts of interest that need to be raised? Councillor Hanson.
Yeah, just my normal conflict of interest. But it isn't a conflict of interest. It's my appointment on the GAPDL board as a council appointment. Just need that minuted. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Hanson. As that's a council appointment to the board, there is no conflict. Councillor Muscat.
Yes, I just wanted to request that that is noted that I'm not able to speak and vote on this. Thank you.
On the one we just voted?
That's right. I wasn't able to vote.
Oh, yeah, no, that's...
So,
yeah,
but I just want it in the minutes, if that's okay, as noted that I'm not able to speak on the motion or vote on the motion.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Tanya, are you able to include that in the minutes that Councillor Muscat has declared a conflict, did not vote on the motion?
Yes, it's been captured.
Thank you. No further conflicts that need to be raised? Before you go, Councillor Muscat, I will just go through the next couple of items. So the next item on the agenda is the Mayor's statement on current issues. And there's two things I'd like to speak on today. Firstly is the Central Queensland Rural Health, the Gladstone Health Plan Action for the 2022-2023. Recently, we had a deputation from the team at CQ Rural Health, and I'd like to acknowledge Councillors Muscat and Councillor Hanson, who co-chaired that committee probably for about the last 18 months with a number of people, health professionals and local community champions looking at how to address health issues in the Gladstone region. And of course, those action plans identified a number of ways that each level of government can be involved and pointed out some ways that council could be involved, including advocacy, obviously, livability, and a number of other ways that council can help attract health professionals to our region. And one of those was housing, which of course providing housing for health professionals is not necessarily considered a council core business, but nevertheless, we have got our team through Carly Quinn to go through those action plans and identify where council can be involved and should be involved. And as an effect of that, of councillors will be aware and the community will be aware as well, is on Friday last week, we made the Park Street and Palm Drive property, 2.51 hectare of land available for an expression of interest for a health provider to set up there. And obviously we'll look favourably on anyone who is looking at including accommodation for health professionals there. So the call is out there. If anyone in the medical professional sector is watching this right now or knows someone in that area that's looking to either expand locally or to invest in the Gladstone region, I encourage them to get in contact with our team. Have a look at the expression of interest for that parcel of land. It is a big parcel of land just down the road from the Gladstone Hospital and ideally zoned health precinct as well. Now, obviously, this is not going to solve what is a national issue. This is not exclusive to Gladstone. This is health shortage of health professionals is nationwide, and a block of land is not going to be the magic, I guess you say the magic bullet that's going to solve it, but it's certainly identified that council can do some things, and this is some of the things we can do. Obviously, we will go back to having our Welcome to Gladstone morning teas, and we will welcome new residents to town, particularly in the health sector as well, and we'll do whatever we can as identified in the CQ Rural Health Plan. I'd like to again thank Councillor Muscat and Councillor Hanson for co-chairing that. It was funded by PHN, and we need to take note of it. The people involved in it gave up their time to identify how we can address health shortages in the Gladstone region. And I think if we work together of all three levels of government, we certainly can address that. And we're doing what we can. And again, I'd just like to thank all involved, and particularly, as I said, the two councillors who co-chaired that. The only other item on the Mayor's statement this week, I will throw to Councillor Hanson and Muscat maybe to talk about that in general business. And they might be able to add some more information to the health plan as well. The only other item I have for the Mayor's statement is, of course, the 75th Brisbane to Gladstone yacht race. I know I've mentioned it before, but nominations close on the 20th of March. I believe we have a fleet of about 50 already, which is fantastic. And this year it's going to be bigger than ever, we hope. Our Brisbane to Gladstone Village, no rain this year, should be able to be absolutely packed, opening Thursday night, the same night as our Gladstone Harbour Festival. We have the long lunch on the Friday. Of course, we have the start of the yacht race on the Friday as well, which is live streamed. And this year, I think I said before, we'll also live streamed on KO, as well as Council's website and Facebook. And then we've got the Seafood Festival on the Saturday. We've got fireworks at the Harbour Festival and the Line Crossing Party on the Sunday. And thank you to the Deputy Mayor and councillors who will be involved in welcoming the yachts this year for something different. I will be entering the Brisbane to Gladstone yacht race on board Skimmer. And we'll see how we go. I'm looking forward to councillors welcoming us in the harbour sometime on Sunday morning or Sunday night, depending on how slow or fast we go. And or Easter Tuesday or Thursday, who knows? But look, it is the 75th. I thought it was appropriate that the Mayor get involved in the race, and so I will be entering the race on board, as I said, Skimmer. And we're certainly looking forward to a huge fleet this year. And obviously the winner of the Tattersalls Cup on the Sydney to Hobart Celestial is entered the race as well. So that's the Mayor's statement on current issues, councillors. I will now welcome, one more thing before we welcome Gus. The confirmation of the minutes for the 21st of February. Can we get a mover for those, please? Thank you, Councillor Churchill, and seconded by Councillor O'Grady. All in favour? Motion is carried that they be accepted and true and correct. Thank you. I'll hand over to the Deputy Mayor now, who will take over as chair of the meeting. I just want to welcome Gus from GAPDL. Hi, Gus from online. And I'll hand over to you, Khan, to chair the rest of the meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. We'll move now to item G/3.1, deputation from GAPDL, and welcome Gus and Nicola, and also acknowledge Tony as a director in the gallery here today. So, oh, you're not? Oh, my apologies. Observer, sorry, Tony. Well, we'll acknowledge Tony anyway. Sorry, mate, my mistake. Hand over to yourself, Gus and Nicola. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Deputy Mayor and fellow councillors. Is this green? It should be working. I'm sorry. Thank you, Matt. Councillor Burnett, Councillor Goodluck, Councillor Trevor, O'Grady, Cameron, Hanson, Churchill, and the good lady who's just left. Firstly, thanks for having us. We're going to touch on the highlights of Kia ora 1 and 2, but firstly I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land which we meet today, the Gurang, the Gurang-Gurang, the Byali and the Tarrabalang Bunda people, and pay my respects to the elders, past, present and emerging. So thank you for that. And as we like to do at GAPD, I want to give a shout out to a council employee. This young fella has been with the council probably nigh on 12 months, a bit longer, Jacob Humphreys. I was at Blues and Roots for a few days, and the people at DCTC couldn't stop talking about how good he was, how helpful he was, straight, see it, own it, fix it, Jacob. So big shout out to Jacob Humphreys. Of course, Kim always gets a shout out from us because she's fantastic to deal with. Sorry, Glenn?
And he's on our junior council too as well.
And we can't afford to pay him the wages you pay him. Can he flip a burger? Sorry, guys. We're going to move on with the presentation. The key highlights for Q1 and 2. We're going to go on to the work plan, which is traffic lighted, and they'll be busy slides. And you've had a copy of the presentation and the work plan provided before. So we're pretty comfortable with the way we've been progressing, and Kim and Glenda and the staff at council have been very, very helpful in helping us achieve a lot of these milestones. So it's been really good, and we've taken some, quantum leaps forward in our working relationship. So it's been really positive. And I'll leave questions and feedback on the work plan, if you don't mind, till the end. So visitation, whilst our numbers are slightly below Bundaberg's, I just want to pay attention to the spend per night and the spend per visitor. We get more money out of our visitors and they stay just a fraction longer than Bundaberg. So our February numbers for the accommodation report from the STR have been stronger than prior year. So we have been trending up in the whole region over and above 2019 numbers. So visitor information centres are tracking quite strongly, a little bit quieter in February, which is, quite seasonal as normal, but heading back towards more typical holiday numbers. February and the hotter months are a bit quieter as we don't have the grey nomads, but also, some repeat visitors to places like Agnes Water and 1770 don't necessarily need to go back to the Visitor Information Centre because they've already experienced the destination once before. The social media statistics, another very busy slide unfortunately, but we're very comfortable with the way our socials are progressing. We've, we could always do better. We want to go viral with every post. It's just a very competitive and busy landscape, and you need to be on it all the time to try and cut through. Our website statistics, while, like I say, we can always do better. And this is one thing that we've been trying to find enhancements on, and successfully got a grant from TEQ this week to enhance our website to be like mobile friendly, which we're going through the process now to try and enhance our website to be cutting edge technology. So I'm going to hand over to my colleague Nicola to do a bit on the Drive campaign.
Thanks, Gus. So we'll now touch on the marketing that we've been focusing on for Q1 and Q2 at GAPDL. So first of all is our Drive campaign. So this campaign was run from the 24th of June through to the 20th of August. You would have already received our post-campaign reports on this one, but just touching on a few highlights. The campaign was a social media focused campaign, and it was directed to a landing page on the GAPDL website, gladstoneregion.info. So on the landing page, we had 3 dedicated drive itineraries throughout the region. We had local offers and deals from our operators and members. And we're really impressed with the reach of the campaign. So we reached over 263,000 people with over 13,000 website clicks. And Gus touched on the social stats and the website stats just earlier. And you would have noticed in that June to August period that the stats were up on both our social media and website, and that's largely due to this campaign. Looking at Eastern Gladstone, which we're really excited about and currently in campaign at the moment alongside Gladstone Regional Council. So again, this is a dedicated site on gladstoneregion.info. We have a little QR code there. I'm not sure if it's big enough for you to scan, but you can scan it with your phones or tablets now to actually see the website page live. A little bit easier than the little photos that we've put in here. But the dedicated site is pretty much a jazzed up version of what we did last year. The difference is, though, is that we've got a tile for each of the Easter events, and the tiles then click through to the actual booking links if they're a ticketable event, or else more information on the event as well. Again, we're leading with our special offers and deals from our members. And the whole aim of the game is just to increase visitation. So this campaign, again, is a social media focus, but targeting the southeast Queensland corner to encourage people to come and visit our destination. We've taken the children's activity booklet online this year for an environmentally focused approach. And we've also got ways in which you can extend your stay whilst in the region as well. So encouraging people to not only come for Easter, but extend their stay, go down to Agnes Water 1770 across to Heron Island. We hope you've all also seen the Channel 7's Weekender episode, which aired a few weeks ago. It was a fabulous episode. We did take the whole half-hour episode, and it really just showcased Easter and Gladstone in the most positive way. We've had really great feedback about that. If you haven't watched it, though, more than happy to send through some links. So you see that episode really shines it, in a great way. So with the Easter and Gladstone campaign, GAPDL went live with the social media side of it towards the end of January. So far, these stats were taken probably about 2 weeks ago. We've already reached 217,000 people and 1,900 links to the website, so we're really pleased with how this is progressing, and we'll have a post-campaign report through to you after Easter. Something else that we're really excited and proud of, and I've got a few copies hot off the press here for you today if you haven't already seen one, is our 2023 Gladstone Region Guide. So the Gladstone Region Guide has been given a little bit of a jazz up as well. So the main difference is that we have slightly changed our fonts and colour branding, so bringing through a fresh modern look throughout the guide, which will also then be replicated throughout our marketing and website going forward. It is on a paper cardstock, so previously we used a glossy kind of matte finish. However, with the paper, again, we're just going for that more environmentally friendly approach. We have included 3 dedicated drive itineraries throughout the guide and a dedicated 3-page fishing section. So no longer producing our dedicated fishing guide, we've incorporated it into our Master Gladstone Region Guide. And taking on feedback from visitors into our information centres is we've actually got proper cartographer maps. So you'll see the maps on the drive guides, but then also on the back, they're the proper cartographer maps. Previously, they were more just graphic animated maps. We've also included a membership directory at the back of the guide, which lists every current GAPDL member. So again, more presence for those businesses, and also those businesses that might not just be purely tourism focused, but more services as well. So they've got some presence in our guide. Looking at cruise, so we had the wonderful MS Nordum visit in November, and we've received overwhelmingly positive feedback from this visit. We had actually some of our cruise ambassadors nearly reduced to tears by how positive the feedback was, not only towards the welcome from them they provided to the cruise passengers, but also the passengers' feedback throughout their whole experience in Gladstone, going up to the main street, going on tours. Everyone they interacted with was just super friendly, and they loved visiting our region, which was great to hear. GAPDL did a lot of work in their lead up to this cruise ship. We worked with over 16 businesses to get them ready for their shore excursion tours. Unfortunately, the shore excursion company we were working with for this particular cruise line didn't have the staffing capacity to actually load them on board to be actually bookable tours for passengers to book beforehand. It was quite disappointing on our behalf and also for the businesses that we've worked with. However, the hard work hasn't gone astray. We've actually put them into a draft cruise prospectus. So the prospectus covers welcoming to Gladstone, different tours that we have on offer, a little bit more about the port information, and the plan is to distribute this to cruise liners to potentially bring more in the future. We've also been really busy in our operator programs and training space as well. So just to list a few, we've had the TEQ Tourism Experience Mentoring Program, or TEMP for short. So this program here was really focused at our more experienced operators. Previously, we've done mentoring or training with more of our novice or new operators to get them up and running. However, we thought it's also good to give the love back to those that are our hero products and have been in the game for a long time. So the program was really successful. We had 4 operators go through this program, and we've seen great results from their experiences to increase their businesses as well, that we're now actually launching a TEMP 2.0 before the end of financial year. We've also got the Australian Tourism Exchange Pathways to ATE mentoring program, which is currently underway at the moment. So this is for our trade-ready operators that are about to head off to ATE. So again, just a little bit more background around the tourism exchange, what they can expect, getting their presentations up to date, and also their preferences in check to make sure we have the most effective appointments possible whilst we're on the ground. And you can see some of the photos here on the left of our great operators, and this is part of the Tourism Australia National Experience Content Initiative. So this was their COVID recovery fund from Tourism Australia, and we got to select 10 operators in the region to get new collateral created for them. So they've got videos and photos as well. All 10 operators have now received their hard drives, and they've also had the opportunity to be part of a mentoring program to how to best then utilise that new content as well in their businesses going forward. The content is available to the operators themselves, to Tourism Australia, to TEQ, and to ourselves. So it's really good just to boost the galleries all round. And I'll touch on it a little bit, but we've also got the SGBR Roadshow, so a dedicated roadshow that we're about to undertake from the 20th of March. So looking at the Southern Great Barrier Reef, we've been really busy in this space working with our counterparts in Bundaberg and Capricorn regions. So in November, we attended the TEQ UK-Europe trade mission. So Lonnie from Bundaberg Tourism flew the Southern Great Barrier Reef flag over there. And prior to that, she did a FAMIL in our region. So she was well versed with our product and our operators as well. At the moment, Eloise from Capricorn Enterprise is flying the flag in New Zealand as we speak for the New Zealand Roadshow alongside TEQ, and again undertook a FAMIL to make sure she was all across our product before attending that one as well. As I mentioned, we've got the SGBR Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne Roadshow coming up from mid-March. So this one here is an initiative that we did as the Southern Great Barrier Reef. So we do have 5 operators going from the Gladstone region, and we're doing our own mini roadshow to really get the impact of the SGBR out there in the domestic space. With ATE coming up at the start of May, we're also going with a real strong brand presence. So this year ATE is going back into the booth design, so we all will have individual booths. And across the Southern Great Barrier Reef, we're co-branding these to make sure they all look and feel the same. Each operator will still have their distinctive images of their business, but the whole presence of the SGBR section is going to be really seen on the floor, so really hoping it creates that impact for those walking through the show floor. A success story out of ATE from last year is also the Best of Travel Group, which is a German-based business. So they have now launched a dedicated Drive the Southern Great Barrier Reef itinerary, which includes 2 nights in 1770. A few weeks ago, we did have a webinar training the German travel agents. We had over 60 agents join the call to let them know more about our region, what they can do on that itinerary, and also the option to let their guests know they can extend their itinerary and what else they can do in the Gladstone region. And again, really well received, which is fantastic to hear. We're also really busy with our pre and post ATE FAMIL program because ATE is hosted on the Gold Coast this year. Queensland's going big and going strong. So we've got 3 pre and post ATE FAMILs underway, covering Heron, Wilson, Gladstone, Agnes, 1770. So really great across the whole region as well. We're also ramping up the digital space with the Southern Great Barrier Reef. We're doing our constant social media, but along with quarterly blogs as well that are all singing to the same themes. And with this one, here's a little bit of just other initiatives and additional marketing, some key highlights. We've got lots going on, but these are some of the key ones we thought you'd be really interested in. So first of all is our marine fishing cruise strategy. So we're working with the Institute of Tourism Leadership Australia with this strategy. It started off with one-on-one calls with some key stakeholders, followed by a workshop getting all our stakeholders in the room together to discuss what this space might look like. We've now received the first draft of our 5-year strategy, so it goes from 2023 up to 2028, and that one will be ready to share with you within the next week or 2 to see your thoughts as well. The whole purpose of our marine fishing cruise strategy is that we see it as a huge opportunity for us here in the region. I think previously we've been doing things a little bit more ad hoc in what we're going to do in this space, but we really want to set our vision and set our plan about what's going to be most effective moving forward. We've also been successful in the Eco Accreditation grant, so with Ecotourism Australia. So working at the moment on desktop research and seeing what the steps we need to do to make our destination eco accredited. This here I think will be amazing for the Gladstone region. So it's a destination certification for the whole of the Gladstone region. I think for us in a tourism sense, at the moment, a big challenge for us is the perception that people have of Gladstone and that we are very industrial. If we get eco accreditation as a destination, I think that will really help to fight this.
Thank you, Nicola. Just on the agri-tourism grant, it's still under embargo, so we won't speak any more about that today. The Drive RTO program, which is being led by GAPDL, is a Drive Queensland program for the 6 caravan and camping shows and the 4x4 shows, Brisbane, Sydney and Melbourne. Last week, the week before, we had our first Drive Queensland stand in Melbourne and we won stand of the show. So by all accounts, it was very, very successful. And one of the things, as we touch on down a bit further, which I might jump straight to Starts at 60 package, is that aviation to Gladstone is a bit of a struggle. We had a campaign with Starts at 60 for a deal with Qantas. We had 1,700,000 views of our message, 6,000 clicks to the landing page, but we only converted one package to Gladstone through the aviation campaign. So it's been this is the second time we've run a really strong aviation campaign. It was $300 off a Qantas flight to Gladstone, and people were saying it was still too expensive. But we're getting really good traction of people looking at it, and then they're saying, well, we don't want the aviation component, we're going to drive up. So we are probably, apart from the Bonza, which Nicola will touch on later, but that was one of the things that we found, you know, it just didn't convert, unfortunately.
So we've also been working with Sean Scott, who is a travel content creator. So he did an initiative with TEQ called Driving the Great Barrier Reef. So we jumped on that one, and Sean Scott's been in region towards the end of last year. So we've got some fabulous new content from him. And again, with this content, we use it in marketing, on our website, socials, campaigns, but we're also, again, with the Southern Great Barrier Reef Group, developing short trade videos. So we've got some awesome content now for the whole of the Southern Great Barrier Reef to roll into like 1-minute snippets for our trade presentations as well. We've been working with Southern Cross Stereo locally as well, in particular Triple M with their Mow the M's competition that they're running at the moment, and it's all about promoting holidaying in your backyard or in central Queensland with a competition down to $17.70 for listeners to win, which is excellent.
Year of Accessible Tourism, Gladstone has just been awarded as one of 6 regions to participate in a program with Get Skilled Access and Travelability. So we will be working closely with them to have a more detailed deep dive into the Year of Accessible Tourism and accessibility and issues around that. So we're looking forward to that. It was only been announced earlier in the week, so it's a little bit preemptive at this point.
We're also looking at a Turtle Tank Round 2, so we do have some funds remaining to launch Turtle Tank Round 2 before the end of financial year. We will be in discussions with Council around potentially extending the grant amount per applicant, and also we would love to see or hear thoughts, I guess, linking that back to our marine cruise strategy. Maybe it's more of a marine focus, or having some discussions around what that might look like going forward with some slight changes. As Gus mentioned, in the past our aviation campaigns haven't really hit the mark as we would have hoped. However, you've probably all heard the exciting news that Bonza will be landing in Gladstone come May. So we're looking at doing a campaign around Bonza and with Melbourne flights as well, promoting Heron Island, and also looking at doing a package with the Central Apartment Group who have properties in both Melbourne and here in the Gladstone region. So watch this space as we develop that one at the moment as well. And we've been busy out and about promoting the region. So in end of last year, we attended the Queensland Tourism Awards along with Destination IQ and Destination Q, Best in Business here in Gladstone, and in the cruise space, we attended the CLEAR Conference and the Australian Cruise Association Conference. And then alongside Gladstone Regional Council, we also attended the Professional Conference Organisers Association Conference and AIM recently in Melbourne, which was a fantastic event with some great appointments set up there. Thanks to Glenda as well, who did a fabulous job of choosing that appointment schedule. I think there's going to be some great returns. And upcoming, we've got Destination Australia in a few weeks. Of course, the ATE, so the Australian Tourism Exchange, which is the big one for us, and then Sanctuary Cove International Boat Show, which we collaborate with GPC on as well.
So just to summarise, councillors, deputy mayor, and the executive, we've touched on the Q1 and 2 plan. We're on track with our work plan. Our statistics are trending well. Our marketing seems to be going well, with maybe the exception of aviation. We're operating programs, our SGBR initiatives, and our regional representation seems to be on track. So we'd just like to take the opportunity now to ask for your feedback and questions, if I may.
Councillors? Councillor Cameron, we'll go.
Yeah, look, just congratulations on your presentation and what you're achieving. This is really first-class stuff, guys.
Thank you, Nicola.
Yeah, no, I've got really no questions to ask. Just this is really good stuff. Thank you.
Councillor Churchill.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'd just like to respond to Councillor Cameron.
Sorry, right,
I am really proud of the team we have at GAPDL and at Communities for Children, and I'm also proud of the efforts that our volunteers and all those people go to make this community better. So thank you for your comments and well appreciated.
Councillor Churchill.
Yeah, thanks very much for that, and congratulations also on winning, I suppose, the stand of the show at the National Gathering. That's terrific. Keeps the lights for Gladstone region well before those that need to know. I've got two questions, and they're both relevant as such. Probably first and foremost, we talk about the reputation of our region and we talk about the recognition of our region. If you could just give us a brief insight on your understanding as the regional tourism organisation on the status of our region as a recognised RV-friendly region. That's first and foremost. But the second part, which is a segue from that recognition and reputation as a destination, as an RV-friendly region in its entirety, not just at little hot spots or good spots, I mean the whole region, is there's been a lot of talk about the 2032 Olympics. We've had some good discussions internally here and amongst ourselves, and the community out there are also talking about it as well, as you'd probably be aware. So what are we doing in relation to the 2032? And there are organisations out there at the moment that are and have advanced quite well to try and host some of the teams or some representatives from the teams internationally, but we recognise that, you know, we're 600 kilometres and et cetera, from the southeast Queensland corner, but we believe appropriately, and I understand this aspect, is the drive market will be a considerable benefit come Olympics. So just like to just get a brief insight on your working relationship with the Gladstone Regional Council and all the community and your members in going forward to ensure that we can get the best benefit or the best bang for buck in our partnership with Tourism Events Queensland for either those who want to get out of the southeast Queensland corner as a result of the congestion and or the dynamics of what will happen with the Olympics, and or alternatively the international market because of family and friends, the F&F, who might come with those teams in the aftermath of the Olympics. Long question, but hopefully the answer's probably briefer.
I thought that was a statement, Councillor.
No, it's a question.
Sorry, Councillor Churchill, we'll address the first question first, which is RV-friendly destination, which is a very salient point because our team in the Agnes Water Visitor Information Centre have just recently compiled a white paper on potable water, and we're in the midst of being able to supply that to Council with the feedback that we've, not the feedback, but the research that our team have done down there about getting potable water to RV people, because we have incidents where people who are using the water at SES grounds get threatened with a fine, which is not the greatest of welcome to receive to a community when you're visiting, and I understand that water doesn't come cheap and things like that. So in due course, in the next week or two, we will be lodging a paper to maybe Lisa or Kylie or somebody to have a bit of a look at the research that we've done. And we're one of about 8 or 9 locations in Queensland who don't offer free potable water to RV visitors, and we've, you know, done the research. So in respect to RV friendly destination, I think one thing that we could look at doing is offering free potable water. Secondly, of course, we would love to have additional RV spaces closer to the city centre. However, you know, that's just a commercial decision that an operator may choose to make if and when a suitable block of land was able to be acquired at a commercial rate that you could make a return on it. So that is sort of in the hands of, you know, business, in my opinion. In relation to the Olympics, we, you know, are looking as an organisation who get funded year on year or in 2 and 3 year tranches. We do the majority of our planning around what we know as what our funding is. And in relation to Olympics or Olympic standard facilities, that's not our decision around what infrastructure would be needed. We will definitely be looking to capture the Southeast Queensland market who are looking to get out of Dodge for those 2 weeks, because the indications were in Sydney, when I was in the wholesale industry, that the wholesalers down there had the worst 2 weeks of their life because everybody left town. So I think there is a significant uplift in overnight expenditure and people moving out of the cities to keep the traffic to a minimum, and so there is great opportunity there, and I think the industry itself will be able to cater for people, and hopefully with organic growth, then we'll have more capacity by then. I hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Councillor.
Any further questions, Councillors? Councillor Anson.
Just got a question on the Sean Scott stuff, photograph. Are they his photographs in the document?
Some of his photographs were in the document. If I go back, that was actually a Hayley Bracewell shot, that last one, who's a local photographer.
Just saying how polished they look, that's all.
These ones here up aside from the middle one, so the two outer side are a sample of Sean Scott's photos.
I'd just like to, give a shout out to Hayley Bracewell, whose photo that we selected for the cover of our new Gladstone Region magazine, or brochure, sorry. And that's a great photo. And she's a local photographer, so, even better when we can use local content. One other thing I missed earlier on was I'd like to welcome Bri Jansen to the council team, our old colleague, ex-GPC, and welcome, Bri. A great pick-up, Lisa, so...
Thank you. Mr Mayor, did you have a question, or you're up?
No, great. Gus is absolutely right. Very good pickup. Thank you. Well done. Lisa's got a great team around her. Gus, Nicola, well done. Fantastic presentation, as per usual. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
I did just have, it was interesting you spoke about the success of the aviation campaign and how far-reaching the promotional campaign was. But I guess, for most families, let's say you were travelling from Brisbane to Gladstone, if you're a family of four, you're probably not going to get flights for under $1,000 return, if you're lucky, notwithstanding some specials or things that might come up from time to time, whereas the same family could drive up and back for, $250 or so. So the drive market's probably always our biggest attractor there. Is that the case, Gus? Certainly you need to focus on the aviation a little bit, but the majority of people are going to be in the cars.
In the visitor economy, like business travel is one of the reasons that it is expensive, because it's a high-yielding route for Qantas. But for a family of four, and if they're over 5-year-old or something, they're all paying full-toed odds. It's a bit closer to 2,000 than one. But, one thing that we do but one of the under-promoted things is the train. The train to Brisbane is a very comfortable trip, and the train back for people. So it's, I'll just ask people to consider using Q-Rail, which is a great service. So a pity we didn't have a little bit more frequency of that service. That would be good.
Councillor O'Grady.
Sorry, I did want to touch on one new experience that we've got in the region that's just about to launch, is the Cape Keppel Beach. The old McCanley property at North Curtis Island has been renovated by the new owners, John Morris and Pat O'Driscoll, and that will be launching very soon. We'll be barging out of Port Alma, and there's some sensational properties up there. It's going to be a first-class destination for our region and agri-tourism. So just want to give a big shout-out to Pat and John. Thank you.
Councillor O'Grady.
Thank you. Just going back to the aviation, it's interesting, like you've got over 1 million people looking, so, those people probably will jump in a car, like Councillor Goodluck said. So I think I wouldn't discredit you only got one return person to apply, come to the region out of it. But I think that widespread, and one million will turn into 7 million because they'll tell 7 people about what they've read or whatever else, and then they'll come for their drive holiday. So, brilliant presentation. Thank you so much.
All right. No further questions, councillors? Moved by Councillor Churchill that we receive the deputation from GAPDL.
Yep.
Can I get a seconder? Seconded Councillor Trevor.
Exemplary.
We'll put the motion. All those in favour? Thank you very much. We'll declare it carried. Thanks, Gus and Nicola. Thank you kindly.
I might give you a buzz a bit later on, can't.
Sounds good. All right, we might move on now, councillors, to item number G/4.1, extension of GECC catering agreement, and courtyard lease, and hand over
Councillor
now.
Muscat. Councillor Muscat.
Sorry, I think she's on her way, Mr. Mayor. Yep. Sorry, item number G/4.1, extension of GECC catering agreement and courtyard lease, and we'll hand over to the General Manager of Community Development and Events, Kylie Lee.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, councillors, Mayor, CEO and those in our gallery and online. The purpose of our report this morning is seeking your consideration for an extension of the GECC catering agreement and courtyard lease. Currently, this lease is extended to the Lightbox Espresso and Wine Bar and also to the Light Group, who hold the catering agreement for GECC. I'll pass over to our Manager of Arts and Entertainment, Kim Markson, who's been working actively negotiating this lease.
Good morning. Thank you, Kylie. Yes, so we are seeking an extension on the current agreement under the same terms until the 28th of February 2024. This will enable a full, fair and transparent procurement process to be undertaken. Work did commence on the renewal of the agreement in 21-22, but some internal delays saw us unable to approach the market until this year. So the current procurement timelines project that an open market approach would not be completed and awarded until June or July this year, and the current agreement and lease expire in mid-May. We were unable to come to an agreement on a holding over period with the supplier as an ambiguous end date, so we are seeking a formal extension with a confirmed end date. And just to give councillors some confidence, the procurement has been scheduled for the timeline in this report. Take questions.
Thanks, Kylie and Kim. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Hanson.
It's pretty straightforward. I'm happy to move the motion.
Got a mover and Councillor
Deputy
Hanson, seconded Councillor Cameron. Yep. Mr. Mayor, nothing from you? No? No further questions, councillors? We'll put the motion. Oh, Councillor Muscat.
Thank you. Well, I guess, well, it is obviously we had some delays in there, and I'm sure we're doing what we can so it doesn't happen again, but I appreciate that we extending it so we can then do have a proper process. So yeah, it was just that. I guess it's unfortunate that we are delayed in some of these things, but at least we are addressing it in the right way. So thank you.
All right, we'll put the motion. It was moved by Councillor Hanson, seconded Councillor Cameron. We'll put the motion. All those in favour? Declare it carried. Thank you, Kim. We move now on to item number G/4.2, Phillip Street Communities and Families Precinct Advisory Committee Report, and hand back over to yourself, Kylie.
Thanks, Councillor Goodluck. I'm very excited to present our annual report for the Phillip Street Communities and Families Precinct Advisory Committee. This is a requirement from an advisory committee as part of our terms of reference. And I would like to thank our advisory committee membership for co-designing and co-creating this report. I would like to thank the councillors, Councillor Muscat and Councillor O'Grady, for their involvement and input, and also our partners from the precinct and the volunteers that generously give their time to supporting the strategic direction of the precinct. The report captures the operating model. It also captures our community voice and culture that we expect from the precinct. It also gives an update from the operations group. It talks around the committee recruitment and onboarding. It talks about our onboarding process, of which we're quite proud of, and the 79 recommendations and actions that the committee have put forward to the operations group to make changes and to ensure that our very valued piece of social infrastructure remains appropriate and effective for the community. I've also got our newly appointed community manager of community partnerships, Bri Jansen, with me, who manages the precinct and also is part of our advisory committee with me here to answer any questions councillors may have.
Thank you. Any questions, councillors? Councillor Muscat?
Yeah, it's just a quick comment, and I guess this report is pretty much focusing on the group, this advisory group, and not necessarily on the operations and all of that stuff. So we will have more of that because I know we have a lot of other questions. I'm sure we all do. So in relation to the bigger, how the precinct's operating and the programs that come out of there, this is more focusing on the advisory group and how that fits into everything else, which is part of the terms of reference. So we have to provide this report as part of the terms of reference. So
Yes, that's understood, councillor, but I
Thank
do
you.
have some, I have left that request with Madam GM to look at
Yep.
more holistically the operations of Phillip Street. So
Yeah.
nothing to do with this report, but
Yeah. No, well,
look
that's-
forward to that.
yeah, that's why I wanted to clarify if anyone else is interested in knowing more about it. It is there, and we doing that too. This is just another piece.
And by the way, welcome, Bri.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you, Councillor Muscat. The operations report will come to a councillor information session in April and then to a broader general meeting at the end of April. So that's definitely planned so that we can talk about it. I'm also giving an update on the evaluation framework that we're progressing with and can take you through the theory of change documents as well. So
Thank you.
No further questions, councillors? No? Mr Mayor? No, did we have a mover for that one, sorry? No, moved Councillor Churchill.
I'll move the recommendation that Council receive the 2021-2022 Phillip Street Communities and Family Precinct Advisory Committee report for the period 1st of July 21 to the 31st of December 2022.
Move the officer's recommendation, seconded by Councillor Trevor. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Declare it carried. Thank you. We might move now on to
Well, you got 4.3, didn't
4.3, Phillip Street Communities and Families Precinct Advisory Committee Review of Terms of Reference. Back to you, Kylie.
thank you, Councillor Goodluck. If I can, I would like to also acknowledge Emily Costello and the work that she's done as the Secretariat of the Phillip Street Advisory Committee. She does an amazing amount of work, created the annual report and has done the review of the terms of reference, which we're presenting to you now. The terms of reference reflect an update after 18 months of operation of the advisory committee. We are seeking your consideration for a few changes for the terms of reference. We are looking at an amendment to the purpose. And again, sorry, it's remiss of me, these recommendations are coming from the advisory committee's recommendations. So we are looking at a few changes to the purpose. We are asking to monitor and champion the theory of change, which is the strategic intent of the change desired for the precinct. We are looking at adopting a new primary member, which is Jacob Humphreys as the representative for youth. We've struggled to fill that position for quite a long time now. We are also looking at consideration of replacement of members, and meeting and voting. Happy to take any questions from councillors on the terms of reference. The tracked changes have been included as an attachment to the report.
Any questions, councillors? Councillor Churchill.
Yeah, thanks for that, Kylie, Bride. Just in relation to the previous comment that you made, that you're bringing a more strategic discussion to an information session sometime in April, and then it will find its way to the general meeting in April. And there's lots of discussions that may happen during that process. And I'm not opposed to your officer's your recommendation here today, but does that mean, subject to what we discuss in April, that it could very likely require another change of the terms of reference?
I don't foresee another change to the terms of reference from that discussion. In September 2023, we will have another discussion around the operations of Phillip Street. So we did approve a 3-year advisory committee model for the operation of Phillip Street, and part of that resolution was to review that in September 23. So at that time, we can have another discussion around the operations of Phillip Street, which may then reflect a change to the terms of reference.
Okay, that's September this year. Okay, I'm happy with that. Thank you.
Councillor Muscat.
Oh, do you...
I'm happy to move, but you can move.
Sorry. No, I wanted to make a comment. Sorry. This is in relation to the exercise around the theory of change, and I wanted to acknowledge that this work probably should have been done before. So, there's been some timing issues, and also, I guess, the project had not maybe gone in a straight line as we probably could have done it if we knew more at the time. Now, the idea of going through this exercise and will help us then define the terms of references in the future, also inform us better in the future operations of in which we operate Phillip Street, and also hopefully will help us understand a bit more as to how we run some of these big infrastructure projects. And I'm looking forward to maybe having some of those reviews at some stage, especially with the ARIC committee and some of the deliverables that we have around assessing what we've done, not necessarily from a negative point of view, but to see what it is that we can learn and do better next time. So, but yeah, it is... We're trying to walk through this exercise, and that's why we're asking to extend the appointment of the members for another year, so then we are able to see kind of the whole life of the exercise, because it should make more sense at the end, hopefully. Even though it's a little bit wordy, and sometimes I wish we could use more normal language terminology in some of these things, I think it will be more clear at the end and we'll be more informed to make future decisions.
Thank you, Councillor Muscat. Very good feedback. Thank you. The theory of change was worked on with the working group prior to the operation commencing. However, we did cement it in October 2022 as part of a working group opportunity. So I'm very happy to talk about the theory of change and our evaluation in April.
Councillor Hanson.
I'm happy to move the officer's recommendation. I'm not going to speak it all out, but items 1, 2 and 3 of that recommendation.
Moving the officer's recommendation. Thank you, Councillor Hanson. Have we got a seconder? Councillor O'Grady. No further questions. We'll put the motion. All those in favour? Declare that carried. Thank you. We'll move now to item number G/4.4, endorsement of additional Regional Arts Development Fund committee member. And that is back to you, Kylie. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Goodluck. This is a really exciting application seeking your endorsement. We've received an additional application, a late nomination from Bettina Van Heften, who is an active established visual artist in the Agnes 1770 region. The RADF committee have welcomed this nomination to the group, and as per the terms of reference, we're seeking your endorsement should you wish to endorse this particular applicant to the committee. I have Kim Markson here again with me, who is very much a huge part of our RADF committee, if you have any questions around the nominations.
Any questions, councillors?
Happy to move, thank you.
Moved Councillor O'Grady, seconded Councillor Cameron. Sorry, Mr Mayor, did you have a question?
No, I was just happy to move all second, so that's very good. Happy to support the motion.
No worries. We'll put the motion. All those in favour? Declare it carried. Thank you. Clap. Thank you, Kylie and Kim.
And that's great news too.
Item number G/4.5, Local Government Infrastructure Plan Review, and we'll hand over to the General Manager for Finance, Governance and Risk. Strategic Asset Performance, Mark Francis. I was looking around the room, I couldn't. Do we want to perhaps move on to the next item while Mark will be here shortly, I'm sure. No, we might move on to item number G/4.6 then. We don't need a resolution or anything for that, do we, Tanya?
Oh, what's that?
To move to the next item, and we'll come back to procedural motion. Moved Councillor Churchill, seconded Councillor O'Grady. Put the motion. All those in favour, declare it carried. Item number G/4.6, Australian Local Government Association Annual National General Assembly motions, and we will hand over to General Manager for Strategy and Transformation, Carly Quinn. We're trying to move through it. We're moving very efficiently today. Thank you, Carly.
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you, councillors. Good morning, community. So the paper today provides the opportunity for council to submit motions to the Australian Local Government Association Annual General Assembly, or AGN as we call it, which will be held in Canberra in June later this year. It also allows council to nominate attendance at the same event. So the NGA provides opportunity for council to influence the national policy agenda and strengthen the local government sector. Motions that are adopted at the conference then become ALGA's strategic priorities and actions for the following year. Excuse me. As a result of council endorsing the Gladstone Region Economic Transition Plan late last year, officers are proposing 3 motions be submitted for this year's conference, one around climate change, dedicated transition fund and regional transition authority. Any questions?
Thank you, Carly. Mr Mayor.
Yes, thanks, Carly. I previously have suggested that we should send 2 councillors as well as myself to this conference because I'm on the executive. But I think, having seen being on the executive of LGAQ as well, I can actually second motions from the chair if I'm actually chairing that section. So I know Councillor Hanson was interested in attending, so if a councillor of the mind, I think we could send 2 councillors, Councillor Hanson if he's still interested, or another councillor, and myself. Obviously, I'm Vice President of Elvis, so I'll be there anyway. We could always send 3. It's up to the boardroom if you want to, but I think we could probably in this instance potentially save money and then too. But I'm open to whatever the boardroom like to decide. As I said though, Councillor Hanson, if it is you attending, I would need you to speak to the motions and I would second them potentially from the chair if I'm sharing that section. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. Councillor Hanson, you're happy to be nominated?
As previously discussed, I was happy for any other member of council, any other councillors to go, but there wasn't that much interest, but I am happy to go and represent the council. And I think only 2 councillors is quite enough.
I'm happy to move that Councillor Hanson attend.
I'm happy to second that. But also, thank you, Carl and Sarah, for the motions. I do think they are some very good motions, and I've got no doubt that they'll be echoed in other local governments' motions as well on the conference floor down there in Canberra with all the heads of power. So there's some good motions, and we'll see what comes out of that. Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Just checking that Councillor Churchill's motion included me as well. Obviously, I'll be there as Vice President, but I'll need a council resolution to be able to speak to motions.
Oh, I thought that was just a given, Mayor Matt, but I'm happy to move the officer's recommendation that you attend as your, Vice President of the ALGA, and that Councillor Hanson be the elected representative to speak to the motions.
Moved.
I'll just need to be able to second the motions and speak if a seconder is required, that's all.
I thought that'd be a given too. If you're supporting our motions today, you'd be supporting them down there in Canberra. Thank you.
Yes, the resolution from council just needs to be noted that the Councillor Hanson and I are delegates.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't like to think that you and Councillor Hanson will be debating against each other on our motions.
Well, Councillor Goodluck and I have in the past.
No, that wasn't on our motions, Mr Mayor. That was on others.
Yeah, you can do that on other motions from other local governments, but I know both of you will be united.
If we might just change the recommendation to note that Councillor Burnett, or Mayor Burnett, and Councillor Hanson are delegates. If we can just note that in the officer's recommendation for the purposes of the ALGA governance.
If I may, Mr Chair, just to check with Tanya, if we authorise Councillor Burnett and Councillor Hanson to attend, does that cover off, or do we need that extra bit of information about being a delegate in the wording of that resolution?
It doesn't hurt to include it to be safe. I have the resolution on the screen if you wanted to put it up.
If we can include it, having been a delegate prior and having had some issues with minutes of our meeting and our resolution that didn't note that they were delegates. So we'll just include that. So that's included up there, councillors.
Yeah, noting Mayor Burnett scheduled to attend as delegate and representatives, as a representative of Gladstone Regional Council.
Perhaps a suggestion. I think the original intent was there may have been 2 councillors as well as Mayor Burnett. Given that there's only 2, do we need to have the second part of the sentence there and just keep it simple and say that they're our council delegates? Would that make it simpler or more confusing?
I don't believe there's any reason that we need that in the resolution.
Oh, no. All right.
Happy with that, Councillor Churchill?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. As long as there's no rush on for anyone else to attend.
All right, moved Councillor Churchill, seconded myself. No further questions? We'll put the motion. All those in favour? Declare that carried. Thank you. We might move back now to item number G/4.5. We don't need another procedural motion for that, do we, Tanya?
Yes.
We do need another. So can I get move procedural motion? We move back to G/4.5. Move Councillor Hanson, seconded Councillor Cameron. Put the motion. All those in favour? That's declared. Local Government Infrastructure Plan Review, and hand over to the General Manager Strategic Asset Performance, Mark Francis. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, councillors. This paper is asking you to resolve to begin the process to prepare an amendment to our Local Government Infrastructure Plan. We'll refer to that as an LGIP. Some of you may know what that is, but for clarity and for the community, an LGIP integrates infrastructure planning with the land use planning identified in our planning scheme. It provides transparency regarding a local government's intentions for the provision of trunk infrastructure, for instance in our priority infrastructure areas. It enables a local government to estimate the cost of providing infrastructure to assist its long-term financial planning and asset management. And it ensures that planned trunk infrastructure is efficiently delivered and provides a basis for imposing conditions of infrastructure on development approvals. Our Asset Planning and Development Services team have undertaken a review workshop, resulting in the checklist attached to today's report. And the subsequent recommendation here today is to begin the process to prepare an amendment to our LGIP. LGIPs can include infrastructure for 5 local infrastructure networks that provide essential services for development. They are water, sewerage, transport, stormwater, public parks and land for community facilities. Infrastructure that is generally not shared with other premises and is internal to a development site, for example a cul-de-sac within a residential subdivision, those are termed non-trunk infrastructure, and non-trunk infrastructure is not included in our LGIP. As we said, the recommendation is for you to resolve that we begin the process to seek an amendment. We're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mark. Questions, councillors?
Just not a question so much as understand the LGIP as much as I can, having been through a previous refinement. I'm not sure whether other councillors, though, have been brought along and understand the process, the new councillors, because this was only done in 2016, wasn't it?
2018, it's a 5-year review, yeah.
Yeah. So I think prior to this, maybe we could have some sort of information at an information centre to update us all on the process.
Absolutely. So the process will involve a number of workshops and consultation internal to council, and also if we're looking at the impact to our planning scheme, that will involve some external consultation as well. But the intention is to bring certainly the boardroom along on the journey. It is a sort of 18-month to 2-year process to go through this, and it will be a process that will rely heavily on yourselves to influence.
Thank you.
Councillor Churchill.
Yeah, thanks for that, Mark. Ed, thank you. And it's the start of the process, and this is probably part of where Councillor Hanson, or part of it, because there's a lot of questions that come as a result of what will happen in that determination over the next 5 years. My question to you appropriately, and it'll obviously come out, the other statutory instruments that we have that can either impact and or benefit the LGIP as an example, and I'll use one that jumps out at me immediately when I read the report, was our coastal erosion biodiversity strategy going forward when we start to talk about areas of infrastructure at Turkey Beach, Agnes Water, close to the Boyne. So I just try to understand at what stage appropriately do those instruments and or that particular one, coastal erosion biodiversity, where does that come into play and how does it come into play?
In determining the LGIP, or
yes,
in influencing the planning scheme as well? Because there is also an impending
all-encompassing, I would imagine.
To take account of those changes in the mapping and some of the work that we're going to have to undertake to mitigate some of the risks that we're facing as it relates to climate change and biodiversity changes as well. Ed, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Just that those other documents will inform the LGIP as we go through it, along with our planning, like all of our planning documents done up to date. They'll inform and help us, settle the LGIP and then all the consultation.
So just as I suppose an addendum to that particular point is that identifying those infrastructure that are already existing there that will be impacted, affected, or required to be relocated, demolished, whatever the case might be. From a council perspective, there's a lot of associated costs that goes with that LGIP, if that's the action, but also at the same time the community having their ability to be able to understand what that would mean in their small community. So How do you draw on that, I suppose, local knowledge in those communities?
The coastal hazard adaptation work that we're doing, we've had a very successful communication engagement process with our communities in Boyne Tanham as it relates to the coastal hazards there and what that may mean for impacts onto infrastructure and what they value about the lifestyle they take from that area as well. We're delighted that we've got really great engagement down in 1770 at the moment for a similar process, and we're getting lots of good feedback from the community there as well about what they value, which will help to influence those options that we'll take forward to the community and which will ultimately be a decision of the council to invest in, should that be the case.
All right. Yep. Time will tell. Thank you.
It's a very important start in our planning system, and everything's governed around trunk infrastructure, where we should put trunk infrastructure, governed by population increase and whatever. So this is a very, very important start in forming our a new planning scheme. When's the new planning scheme, if I may ask? When do we have to?
23-24.
23-24, yeah. So very important start in identifying where we and the population prefer to have, where trunk infrastructure should be put into the future.
And given everything that's going on, it's even though it's on a 5-year schedule, it's a bit serendipitous that we're able to do it while we're considering what's going on in GSDA and the implications for future growth, and look at our priority infrastructure areas again and make sure that we're doing the right thing for the community.
And in particular sets out where the levies and charges that are applied for developments so that we can spread that cost not only for those proponents but across ratepayers as well appropriately. Councillor Muscat, did you have a question?
Yeah, I wanted to, I guess, echo the comments that Councillor Hanson made. I was not part of the process back then, and I would like to have maybe another session where we go through how the process works. And, well, I guess I can go and read a lot of things, but it is, I'm sure I'm not alone in this situation where, because I have not done this before, I like to have more information. Now, with that in mind, also, I guess we have elections next year, and the timelines of the new plan, would any new potential councillors be able to be involved in this situation, or?
I think the timeline would have the election falling sort of midway through the process, so
okay,
they would necessarily be involved, absolutely.
Yeah, well, I think that's kind of something that we'd probably like to consider. I know that it can be a bit, yeah, when you come halfway through something, then it's difficult to then have input when absolutely, you're a bit too late to the party. So, yeah, and is there any, I know we talked about community consultation and all that, but is there any plans that we have in relation to having a bit of a timeline that is communicated to people, you know, maybe through some of those conversation pages, which I think work really well, to keep people updated as to how we're going through the process?
Yeah, there will be. We haven't set a definite timeline.
Mm-hmm.
We need, once we notify the state, that's the start of the
Great.
process, and then we'll develop our timeline, and then, you know, our plan is to have a lot of councillor information sessions through the process.
Okay. No, that's great. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mark and Ed. Do we have a mover for the officer's recommendation?
The meeting procedure says you've got to read it all out.
You can
You can just state that you're moving the officer's
recommendation. We have a mover in Councillor Muscat. Can I get a second? Councillor Muscat, you happy to move that? Yep. Can I get a seconder, please? Seconded, Councillor Hanson. No further questions. Mr Mayor, you're all good. We'll put the motion. All those in favour? Declare that carried. Thank you. We move now to, we've only got, I think, a few more items, councillors, so we'll soldier through if everyone's happy with that. Item number G/4.7, Sale of Land Report. And I hand over to the General Manager of Finance, Governance and Risk, Mark Holmes.
Thank you, councillors. This item today is the consideration of a sale of land report for an additional 2 properties to what was already resolved on the 7th of February. These properties didn't make that list. We were seeking some legal advice at that time as to the inclusion of those properties, and since receiving that advice, this report is now considered and tabled. So we are looking at commencing that process. It would be a separate process, and it really is around starting that. Since the papers were presented, we have received an additional receipt with respect to one of those properties, so there is a minor amendment to the table, but it doesn't exclude that property from the sale list.
Thanks, councillors. Any questions, or do I have a mover? Councillor O'Grady.
Thank you, Councillor Goodluck. Mark, I was just wondering, with the communication with the people that own these blocks, do we communicate directly through them, or do we have a third party that does that, or how does that happen?
Yeah, we generally communicate directly with the ratepayers. We certainly, from a debt recovery perspective, we engage R&R to do some recovery work for us. But certainly at this point, we're talking to those ratepayers. And some ratepayers engage and have active conversations, and others don't. So I know certainly with one of these properties we are having regular conversations with, and the others probably been a little bit more troublesome to do so.
Okay, thank you for that.
Do I have a mover, councillors? I'm happy to move the officer's recommendation. Seconded, Councillor Hanson. We'll put the motion. All those in favour? Declare it carried. We move now to item number G/4.8, councillor attendance at Welcoming Australia Symposium. Back to you, Mark.
Thank you, councillors. This is just a paper just to discuss the attendance at the Welcoming Australia Symposium. We were looking at the attendance of Councillor Muscat at that, and just to make sure that we are in line with our policy, given that it is outside of the state, looking at endorsing that attendance.
Moved, Councillor Churchill. Can I get a seconder? Councillor Cameron. No further questions? No, we'll put the motion. All those in favour? Declare it carried. I don't believe we have any councillors' reports. Did any... I've got that as the next item, councillors. Yep. Councillor O'Grady. Councillors' reports.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Goodluck. I would just like to commend the cast and crew of Greece. It was absolutely amazing show. It's something out of this world, actually. People could not believe what locals could present, and it was just absolutely amazing. So that's just one thing I wanted to touch on. And the other thing is Bicycle Queensland's will be in the area tomorrow, so they got some funding through Queensland Government, and to do some videography in the Gladstone region, so they'll be here tomorrow as well, so which would be fantastic, showcasing our beautiful region, the Gladstone region. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor O'Grady. No further councillor reports. Mr Mayor, did you have...
Yeah, just thought Councillor Hanson or Councillor Muscat might like to speak to...
We've had a hand up. He doesn't look right, Mr Mayor.
Over to you, Councillor Hanson.
Councillor Cameron had his hand up, I think.
Councillor Hanson. Thank you.
Just regard to the Central Queensland Rural Health Report, just to add to that, thanks to Sandra and her team at CQ Rural Health for putting that all together. It was a big effort by them to get all the information. But importantly, even more importantly, was the participation of the general public in the questions that were asked, the attendance at meetings. There's a lot of our councillors went to those meetings, so thank you for attending and putting all the information together. Over to Councillor Natalia now.
Thank you, Councillor Rigg. Yeah, well, this, as we said before, it's been an exercise of over a year. And yes, definitely a big effort by CQ Rural Health and everyone that kept turning up and showing up to try to see how we can, as a community, solve or at least look into some solutions as to how some of the issues that we have in the health area. It's not just a one single issue. There's a lot of different facets to this, and council has definitely some roles to play as recommended by the report. So I thank everybody for supporting some of those recommendations. And I know it's a difficult situation for everybody, but we are all feeling it too. We all, we live in this community, we have families, we all, I guess, have the same concerns, and we're trying to do, what we can to help the situation, even if it's like the Mayor said earlier, how to do some welcoming activities for new people that come to the area, make the area more attractive to people to move in and work from here, and in this case, release land that we have to make available for some of those services or people that work in the sector. So we're still going to continue to work with CQ Rural Health and the group that was formed to oversee some sort of implementation coming into the next at least 12 months. We haven't worked that out exactly, but we will keep giving you updates on that. So, just we doing. I'm really appreciative that our council has taken on at least some of those recommendations that have been made after research and after consultation.
Thank you, Councillor Muscat. Councillor Cameron.
Thanks, Karen. Just on a lighter note, I had the great pleasure of attending the artist talk and opening of the new exhibition called Where's Alice, which is the theme of Alice in Wonderland. And this is done by two local artists, and it was a collective that they've made themselves here in Gladstone over a 3-year period. And it is one of the most colossal exhibitions I've really seen regionally and for the region here. And it's really worth a look. Absolutely superb work in detail and in content. It's just absolutely brilliant. In particular for children, I think it'd be great, and I could see an opportunity for the schools in particular primary schools, to bring their students through to look at this exhibition. And they've even got a little theatre set up at the back of the exhibition with a little lounge where you can actually watch a movie of Alice in Wonderland. I think it's one of the best things I've ever seen, and I commend it to the community, and go out and have a look. It's really worthwhile having a look at. Thanks.
Thanks, Councillor Cameron. No further councillor reports?
This is just highlight that we have International Women's Day tomorrow. And there's a number of different events around the region that have already started on the weekend, and I encourage everyone to attend one. And hopefully something that I was thinking the other day is that it will be wonderful to have an event that is run by men with men, because it seems like we always go to all these events and there's always women that attend. So we need to change, and we need to do it all together.
I'll be attending one in the morning, as I'm sure many councillors will. Very important events. We might move now to, there's no further councillor reports. Everyone's good, Mr Mayor. We'll move now to urgent business. We've got one urgent business item number G/6.1, councillor attendance at the 2023 Rail Trails Australia Forum. And I hand over to, is it yourself? Sorry, Mark. Yep, General Manager of Finance, Governance and Risk. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. This item is with respect to Councillor O'Grady's attendance at proposed attendance at the 23 Rail Trails Forum to be held in Wollongbar, and as in accord with policy, because it is outside of Queensland, we seek Council's endorsement to attend to that conference.
Mr Mayor.
Happy to move the opposite recommendation. Thank you.
Moved, Mr Mayor. Do I have a seconder? Seconding Councillor Churchill. Yep.
Just a question.
Councillor Hanson, yep.
Just a brief question. Should it state in there where couldn't see where the actual event was being held? Should it state in the report that's outside of Queensland and in Mooloolaba?
Yeah,
Should that...
agreed.
Yeah, it's probably an oversight in that report. The recommendation is sufficient to.
I saw the word Tweed and I knew it was there somewhere, but we should really state.
Yeah, apologies for that oversight.
No further questions, councillors? Okay, we've got a mover in Mayor Matt, seconding Councillor Churchill. Put the motion. All those in favour? Declare it carried. Thank you. I don't believe we have any notices of motion, and nor do we have any confidential items. So we'll declare the meeting closed at 10:42 a.m.
Sign up to Council's disaster and weather event warning system. Receive alerts about emergency news, severe weather events and other public safety alerts via SMS or email. Registering to the disaster messaging system is free. To register, visit Gladstone Regional Council's Region Watch website and click on the Register for Warnings button. Get ready, Gladstone. Take the steps to protect what's most important to you. Let's be better prepared and protected for emergencies and disasters.